Morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela with another edition of Notes on the Newsfeed, where I read to you headlines that I'm sending from my newsfeed over to my Twitter feed and other such stuff. And I give you my feedback, commentary, thoughts, whatever comes up for me from reading those headlines, articles, skimming articles, and or reading the paragraphs following the headlines. And if you want to read the article, Be Fabulous You is my Twitter feed. I send everything over to there as soon as I get a chance to. And also I do try to drop a link into the description box of these videos. So thank you for joining me. I'm Angela and the channel is Be Fabulous You. And let's jump right on in because y'all know the news just keep on feeding. Wells Fargo accidentally leaks 50,000 clients' records. Was it accidentally or accidentally on purpose? What are y'all doing? What do y'all be doing? What kind of amateur hour shows do y'all be running? Ugh. How one former fugitive visualized his path from the FBI's most wanted list to community champion. Ooh, and I started skimming this. It was like the power of visualization, belief, keeping the faith, but the power of visualization, I could just see it all over this when I look at it. I'm like, oh, I want to read it, but I didn't have time to. But maybe you'll get to read it and tell me about it, or maybe I'll get to read it later. Minneapolis mayor. Others speak highly of new African-American police chief. So it's kind of like the Minneapolis mayor and others speak highly of the new African-American police chief. He knows the community. He knows the culture. Okay, so is he going to be able to buck the system? Is that what's going to happen? We'll see. We got our eye on you, Minneapolis police chief. We got our prayers sent out to you and to the people that you could do something in justice and in rightness and in truth and honor and dignity. We watching you. 7 countries where you can travel on $30 a day or less. Woo! I'm noticing that I'm getting a little bit of, I guess because I've been so out of practice with traveling the way I used to travel all the time, I think I'm getting like a little paranoid about traveling. And I was just thinking about it when I was looking at some articles earlier. And I don't know if at that time when I traveled more, wasn't as tuned into the news. So I just went where I wanted to go. And when I did research, it was like, well, what do I need to know about traveling to India? What do I need to know about, going to Bermuda? What do I need to know about going to St. Lucia? What do I, wherever I was going, it's like, what do I need to know? I wasn't like, oh, this bad thing has happened in Turkey. Because when my cousin, I still didn't talk to her. She's going to Turkey. When my cousin is like, she's going to Turkey, I'm like, oh, Erdogan. Before I would have been like, oh, Turkey. But anyway, $30 a day. And there was this one hotel I stayed at when I was in India. I remember it was kind of like you could get like a full out buffet at that time for like 40 rupees, which was like $1. And it was like brown rice on the buffet, a whole bunch. It was good. I was like, this for $1? Where are you going? $1. Wonderful. At a nice hotel, it was, Brooklyn, Illinois. Oldest incorporated black town founded by Priscilla, Mother Baltimore. I never even heard of Mother Baltimore. Yay. Apprentice Bunchy Carter murdered to dismantle the Black Panther Party. This is probably some more of this COINTELPRO, stuff. There was so much going on, and I think that even when we're aware that COINTELPRO existed, that COINTELPRO operations were going on, you still kind of think, it still kind of makes people seem suspicious to you, even though there was a lot of misinformation and a lot of bull going on. I think when you hear something bad about somebody, it's like it's almost hard to unbelieve it. Like if somebody's like, oh, he raped somebody, it's hard to unbelieve that for me at least, or he murdered somebody, or if somebody is accused of something, you have to tell yourself, well, just because someone is accused of something doesn't mean, I have to talk myself through stuff, because you be looking like, they a murderer, they a rapist, So when I think of COINTELPRO, I can see how it's easy to really undermine the character of people and people's relationships with lies, The French are better at small talk than Americans because they don't ask questions about work. I remember when I was in college, my first husband, when we were dating, that was like a big thing for him. He's like, everyone always asks, what do you do? Why can't we just not ask people what they do and just talk to him? Now, he was a physicist. He was a PhD student at the time. But anyway, but that really sensitized me. So I think ever since then, it's very rare for me, unless someone is like really talking about work and work related things. It's kind of like, well, how do you occupy your time? What are you passionate about? So maybe I'm je ne sais quoi. Maybe I have that French thing about conversation. I don't know. But I like people. And, for some people, their work is a very important part of who they are, especially, I think, for a lot of Americans, especially when people are middle to upper class. That tends to be like a very key thing. But for a lot of people, work is just a job. It's not really, they just do it for work. They're not doing it because they're passionate about it or because they give a damn about it. They just want the money because they got to eat and, Okay, female BBC staffers tell boss to close gender pay gap now in an open letter. I was on a tour, and this woman, I did a piece on the show that I was working on is a Underground Railroad tour here in Detroit. But I did a piece on Sojourner Truth, where she kind of talks about, women's rights and black people and stuff. And this woman from Germany came up to me, and she was like saying how her daughter is so feminist and, all of this stuff, and how, she was talking about the pay gap in Germany. She said that women get paid less. She said, even though, we have this and we have this and we have that and we have that, as a country, paid maternity leave that extends to fathers as well. And it's like half a year or whatever. She was describing a lot of things that a lot of us would think are very progressive. There's still a disparity between, according to her, a woman who does the same job as a man gets paid less. Universal, these systems of, elevating rich white men with property and power, or whatever combination of things, is not, the more of those things you have, the more elevated these societies tend to make you, help you, support you in being. Senator says China freed 25-year-old American college student Guthrie McLean. I've never heard this story, but I'm like, oh, I didn't even know she was being held. Is Guthrie a woman? I didn't even know the student was being held, but this senator says they've been freed. College students are demanding transparency from administrators after tragedy strike 2 campuses. And I didn't read the whole article, but when I started reading, one of them was, there was one student newspaper that's one of the oldest in the countries that was the press. Even students have media and traditions of media, and, those are, still active. Yes. Demand transparency, students. Go ahead. Freedom suit. Hudgens versus Wright, 1806. It seemed like I read this, but now I can't even remember what it was about. But probably somebody suing for their freedom. Oh, I think that this was the thing where the woman is like, at that time, I guess it was probably as a result of this case that they were like, if you got 1 drop of black blood, then you black and I can enslave you. We're not going to go by that old rule that used to say that you are what your mama is. So if your mama is free, you free. If your mama is Jewish, you Jewish. You come through your mama belly, your mama define who you are. We're going to change that, because in this case, I think that the woman argued that her mother, her grandmother, her mother and maybe her great-great-grandmother were native, and so she should not be enslaved, and her children should not be enslaved because they were coming through her womb. Something like that. I think that was the freedom suit. Rotating indoor garden grows 100 herbs or veggies every single month. Woo! It's so exciting! I like food. I like growing food. I like green stuff and flowers and plants. And citizen scientists find a failed star in son's neighborhood. A failed star. Anyway, that's scientific stuff. But because I like to study astrology, like the whole astronomy, astrology world, I think is very interesting. I didn't read the article though. Pablo Funk, the first black circus promoter and owner. Pablo Funk. Yeah, okay. I like the Universal Circus. They didn't have any animals when I went to it. And that's why I like to see the people doing tricks. I'm not really a fan of seeing, like, like I remember one time I went to this rodeo and I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not like a fan of zoos and stuff like that because I guess because I come from people or my sensitivity, the way that it's like I come from people who have been locked up and, in unnatural circumstances and, abused and exploited. I don't want to see even an animal abused, exploited, locked up. Let them be free. I want to be free. Why I gonna lock them up if I want to be free? India court hears 10-year-old rape victim's abortion plea. Ooh, that's a tough situation. Bedrock ditches tone deaf campaign on Vinton building, downtown Detroit. They got, I can't remember what the language was, but it was a whole bunch of white people. And people are like, oh, so Detroit is 85% black and you think you're going to be advertising Detroit with images that are all white? Apparently I missed it, but the article says that Twitter went off on them. Bedrock is a big company here in this area too. And they're like, oh, well, what had happened was, it was similar to the Shea Moisture story. Because Shea Moisture is like, well, what had happened is we have a campaign and it's a whole bunch of different colors of people in it. But we just released the white people campaign first. But the other ones, they's coming. Because, white is right. White is first. And that's what the Bedrock said. They said, oh, if you see the whole picture, it's all kinds of people in it. But we just put up this picture first because it's the white people. Okay. China opens first cinema in disputed South China Sea island. So there's this area in the South China Seas, and China's like, that's our island. This part of the water is ours. And other people are like, no, it's part of our country. And other people are like, no, it's part of our country. So I think China has been building islands in this region of the water. And now they starting to put stuff like movie theaters there, which I think was like really interesting. I would think you would put something like a bomb, shoot a gun, a cannon, or something like that. So like anybody who come on this island, we gonna shoot them. But they put a movie theater there, a cinema. So that's like maybe because they figure the people will be like, this is our movie theater and you can't take it away or we gonna get you. I don't know, but isn't that an interesting strategy? It's very unexpected to a military novice like me. I don't know how these military campaigns work. I just don't. The American middle class is becoming smaller and wealthier than its European equivalent. Okay, so that's it for this edition of Notes on the Newsfeed. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Angela again, and the channel is Be Fabulous You. Please thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. If you are a subscriber, thank you so much. If you are not yet a subscriber, thank you in advance for subscribing. We're working on 150 subscribers. Thumbs up, hit the notifications bell. Make comments down below. What you reading? What's interesting going on in the world from your perspective? How do you engage with the news and still keep your spirit and your soul intact? That's what I got for you, Fabulites. Be you, be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace.